On January 21st, 1976, the Concorde jet made its first commercial voyage from London Heathrow to Bahrain. And ever since, air travel has been different. But let's take a look at how the Concorde started. In the late 1950s, several countries were interested in supersonic travel, such as Britain, America, France, and Russia. Britain's Bristol Airplane Company and France's Sud Aviation were working on their designs to compete with the US to make a supersonic airliner, which made most of the normal airplanes at the time. The planes were very expensive to make, so they made a deal where they would work together. On November 28th, Britain's Bristol Airplane Company and France's Sud Aviation signed a deal called the Concorde Agreement, which made their supersonic travel dreams a joint effort. The Concorde was very popular among airline companies, as there was over 100 orders for the jet. Some airlines that wanted to get their hands on a Concorde were Pan Am, BOAC, and Air France. Each of those airline companies mentioned ordered 6 jets. On March 2nd, 1969, the Concorde took its first test flight from Toulouse. And the first supersonic flight happened 7 months later on October 1st. This was great news for the Concorde, as it had proven itself as a supersonic passenger jet. But sadly, there was an oil crisis in the 70s and it made fuel very expensive. And another thing that happened was another supersonic jet crashed. It was a Russian Tupolev Tu-144. People were also understandably mad about the sonic boom that the Concorde would produce. A sonic boom happens when something goes faster than the speed of sound. This is because as the object moves, it outruns its own sound waves, causing them to compress and accumulate, creating a high-pressure cone of sound that sounds like an explosion or a thunderclap to observers on the ground. There were also other concerns about the Concorde jet, but this caused many airlines to cancel their orders. This only left Air France and British Airways wanting a Concorde. Even the US stopped making their supersonic jet in 1974. On January 21st, 1976, both British Airways and Air France started doing regular flights. The first routes were from London to Bahrain and Paris to Rio. The US had not allowed Concorde to land on US soil, so this stopped it from flying popular routes on the Atlantic Ocean. In February, that ban was lifted, but New York had banned Concorde landings locally. Finally, in late 1977, New York allowed Concorde flights. So then they started regular flights from Paris to London to New York's JFK Airport. On average, the flight time for these routes was about 3.5 hours. This was a major upgrade from normal airplanes. Until 2003, the airlines flew to New York daily. Concorde was known for being a very safe airliner, but it all went downhill from here. On July 25th, 2000, a Concorde jet crashed during takeoff in Paris. Sadly, all 113 people on board died. After this incident, the flight stopped so they could investigate. It was found that a piece of titanium from another plane had fallen onto the runway, punctured the tire of the Concorde as it was taking off, and pieces of the tire hit the wing. This broke a fuel tank, causing a fire, and the plane lost control, hitting a nearby hotel. Now, thankfully, in November of 2001, flights resumed after safety improvements were made, but it was never the same. In April of 2003, sadly, British Airways and Air France both announced they would retire the Concorde for good later that year, due to not having enough passengers after the 2000 crash, and the cost to maintain the planes was getting too high. The last landing in the US happened on May 30th, and British Airways stopped flying them in October. And so did Air France. You can still find Concordes in museums, so Google it. I forgot to put this in the video. I don't know.